Welcome to Make Your Money Matter. I'm your host, Brad Barrett. I'm also a managing director and partner here at One Capital Management. And today on our show, we're gonna be talking to our women investors out there. I wanna share some stats with you that I find fascinating and I wanna share with you. Get this, women control a third of the total US household investable assets according to a Mckenzie and Co study, which by the way, is approximately $12 trillion. Now, over the course of the next decade, as baby boomers pass away, this share will actually even get larger. It's estimated that by 2030, women are expected to control much of the $30 trillion that will be bequeathed to them from the boomers. Now, with that in mind, on today's show, being able to make important investment decisions with these unique situations that are presented to women versus maybe their male counterparts is vitally important to ultimately the success of your specific financial future. And before we get started, make sure to smash the subscribe button to never miss a single episode. All right, let's get into it. So right out of the gate, I want to talk about something very openly. And this actually came from a conversation with a client of mine who I've had and worked with for nearly a decade now, a very strong and independent woman who's been very financially successful. And I was talking with her and asking her as I was thinking and writing on today's show about some specific situations that come across for women that, again, male counterparts don't have. And the first thing we talked about was preparing for potential time out of work. Now, I did some research on this, as always, and it was very interesting to me to understand a few stats here that I wanted to share. Now, whether time off from work, maybe it's time off to finish school, or maybe having a child or caring for that child, women often find themselves following, again, a different path than their male counterparts. And I think we can all agree that the pandemic over the past couple of years itself brought the divergence front and center for us. And this is a stat that I found astounding, that with women between the ages of 25 and 44 are almost 3 times as likely as men of the same age group to be out of the workforce due to specifically childcare demands. This is according to actually the United States Census Bureau. Now, these career breaks that I'm bringing up here in point number 1 are vitally important because they have huge long-term impacts on your finances. And it's estimated through a Fidelity study that I was reading that a 1-year break from work for a 35-year-old woman earning $100,000 per year would cost them $212,936 in retirement contributions and salary by the time she reaches age 67. And many times these career breaks can't always be timed. We know this, but if you do see one in your future, what I want to share here is start planning for it now. Start saving maybe aggressively to help cover basic living expenditures during that period. You don't want to be tapping into retirement savings during that time or maybe maxing out credit cards to get by. So it's important, as I always share on our show, to plan. And if there's room in your budget right now, consider saving some of your current income in an investment account to take advantage of the power of compounding interest while you are not working. So number 1, I think it's important that we talk about preparing for potential time out of the workforce, leading into number 2, by the way, in my conversation with my client, and it's changing the mindset, I think. And we were having this good dialogue and conversation from a saver to an investor, ultimately changing your mindset from savings to investing, right? Now, research has shown that women are more likely to save than invest their money. There's a big difference there. It's been widely researched for many, many years on this. And the big distinction between the two is that the latter has the ability to compound, investing does, and grow your wealth over the long term. Now, if women invested at the same rate as men, there would be an extra $3.2 trillion of assets in their pockets today, according to a New York Times study. Now, I think with all this, women retire, if you look at the studies here, women retire with only 2/3 as much money as men in their 401ks. Even though women live on average 6 years longer than men. Talk about sustainability, something we talk about as advisors. We have to look at things uniquely for specific situations. And again, according to a New York Times study on those stats there, it's very important that women, we focus on the mindset of savings versus investing, switching from savings to investing. And with that in mind, it's important to talk about things like maximizing your retirement contributions if you're working. I talk about that heavily on the show for everyone. And if your workplace, by the way, offers a 401k, you want to take advantage of that. I think that leads us perfectly into the third and last thing that my client and I were talking about, which is enlisting help from professionals. You know, as women, you wear so many different hats and take on so many different responsibilities, especially within your household. I know my wife, Veronica, does, and it's something that I know many male counterparts out there are so grateful for, but it's important that you also want to partner as well. And when it comes to that, what I mean by that is finding professionals, finding a financial advisor, as I share with everybody, you want to find 3 things when you look at a professional and really talk through this. You want to find someone who's a fiduciary, someone who's credentialed, and someone who has experience. I'd also add, you want to make sure, especially for women out there or women investors, someone you like and can trust. I think that's really important as you talk about something as important as money and ultimately the mindset, as I mentioned on point number 2, from shifting from savings to investing. Then also really making sure that you're planning out, again, any gaps you might have in the workforce. And so again, just wanted to come to you all today on the Make Your Money Matter show and talk about 3 specific things to our women investors out there. I hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, make sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode. And always remember to make your money matter.